Mr. Speaker, to the Minister of Labour, does she stand by her statement, quote, "The goal is to match Australian income levels by 2025, end quote, and if so, will the 25-cent change in the minimum wage achieve that?"
The Honourable Kate Wilkinson.
Mr. Speaker, yes. Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Prime Minister laid out an excellent plan for growing the economy, but simply raising wages by regulation is not the answer. Unlike that member, we're not prepared to risk sentencing 8,000 workers to the dole queue for the sake of a headline.
Darien Fenton.
Supplementary. To the Minister, is she aware that the 2% increase in the minimum wage will not even keep pace with estimated inflation increases of 2.3%? And can she explain how letting our poorest get poorer will help close the wage gap with Australia?
The Honourable Kate Wilkinson.
Mr. Speaker, as the member knows, the 2% increase in the minimum wage was linked to inflation at the time. And as it turns out, it's also the average increase in wage across the board as well, so it's also linked to that, which also happened to be Labor Party's policy last year, 2 years ago.
Darien Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister, what advice has she received on how much less our lowest income New Zealanders could be earning in real terms once inflation increases, as well as increases in ACC levies and GST are thrown in?
The Honourable Kate Wilkinson.
Mr. Speaker, the advice that I received was that if we increased the minimum wage to $15 an hour, which was the suggestion by that party over there, that it could result in the loss of 8,000 jobs, and we were not prepared to put those 8,000 jobs at risk.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Darien
I don't
Fenton.
think the Minister addressed the question. It was a specific question about the advice she'd received on what would the impact on the minimum wage be once inflation and ACC levies had been taken into account.
Order. I think the Minister, as far as I heard, she did give the advice they'd received with respect to the impact of raising the minimum wage. And I think for me to try to ask her to be more specific would be a little pedantic on my part. I saw, the Honourable Sir Roger Douglas.
Mr. Speaker, to the Minister, is she aware of the academic research in New Zealand showing that Labor's removal of youth rates is responsible for the huge increase in youth unemployment? And will she review, and Mr. Speaker, and will she review that decision, or is she comfortable with youth unemployment of 17%, including Maori youth unemployment of 38%?
The Honourable Kate Wilkinson.
Mr. Speaker, the member may be aware that when Labor wanted to abolish the youth rate, that we did in fact vote against that legislation, but for that very reason, because we were concerned that it would price young people off the job market, and it might also be a perverse incentive for them to leave education. We're always, as that member asked, we're always willing to listen to good ideas.
Darien Fenton.
Speaker, to the Minister, if the government does go ahead with an increase to GST, will she commit to supporting Trevor Mallard's members' bill to raise the minimum wage to $15 by 2011 so that the more than 450,000 New Zealanders currently struggling to get by on less than that do not fall even further behind?
Mr. Speaker,
Kate Wilkinson.
Can I say to that member that if raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour is such a good idea, why didn't Labor do it in the 9 years when they had the opportunity? But can I say, Mr. Speaker, that raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, our advice tells us that it could result in the loss of jobs of 8,000 jobs. We are not prepared to risk that. And, Mr. Speaker, can I also remind the member that the Prime Minister made it very clear yesterday that any rise in GST would be offset by changes to income tax, so low-income workers will not be any worse off.
Question number 11, Nicky Wagner.
Mr. Speaker,